September is usually a big month for new indie game releases, and this September 2020 looks likely it won't disappoint. Hi everybody, welcome to Get Indie Gaming, where today we're going through our top 10 most wanted indie games of September 2020. Up first and at number 10, Going Under bills itself as a satirical dungeon crawler about exploring the so-called ruins of failed tech startups, as in this world, failed businesses don't just cease to exist, they sink into the Earth's crusts where their employees are made to wander the wastelands for eternity as monsters. You'll play as naturally enough an unpaid intern, with your role in Going Under, all within this procedurally generated colourful adventure, is to kill off those monsters and seemingly repossess their stationery, printer toners and other assets to gain clout with your co-workers and generally rise up the office ranks. Going Under comes out towards the end of the month, September 24th, on PC via Steam and all of the usual consoles. At number 9, from the developer Get Up Games and published by Iceberg Interactive, Blazing Sails comes out in early access on September 9th. Now let's address something we're assuming many of you will be thinking. Yes, there's certainly a close resemblance here to Sea of Thieves in not only how it looks and feels, although here, such gameplay elements are spliced together within a battle royale, with the developers hoping the addition of naval combat will refresh the genre with its fast-paced piratey action. The game has been in beta for a while, and having seen folks play and stream it, there's definitely something going on here Battle Royale fans should probably want to take a further look at. What really works well though is when players come together and team up to take down other ships and crews, with it being a rather fun way in which to raise your blood pressure as you go about fighting and scrapping with others, all the while looking for weapons and ship upgrades to be better prepared for your next encounter. As you could expect, the game also allows for you to fully customize your character and ship so you're able to stand out from amongst your fellow pirates. Now, as we already mentioned, the game so far has proven extremely popular while in its beta mode, and seems already to have a dedicated and fun-minded community behind it. It's expected to be in early access for around 6 to 9 months, with the final version coming with more ships, weapons, additional customizations, additional language support, and much more besides. We know some viewers won't be able to get past the Sea of Thieves comparison, although in all honesty, if, as we said earlier, you're a fan of battle royales, then Blazing Sails feels worthy of a play or two even now as it comes out in early access. At number 8, and yet another one of our most wanted games of the whole year, Iron Harvest is already out as this video airs, with it launching on September the 1st. Now this one comes with some fairly decent heavy expectations, with it having brought in just over $1.25 million during its crowdsourced funding campaign. Having played the demo format over a few times this past year or so, it feels likely the team over at King Art have pulled it off. Iron Harvest is a real-time strategy game set with an alternate 1920s just after the end of the Great War. While for many the RTS aspects alone will be a big draw for this one, we're most looking forward to playing and we're most impressed with what we've seen so far, with what the team have done with the mech-based gameplay, then replacing the more usual tank-based weaponry you'd normally find within such games. So yeah, we're mostly here for the mechs, and they are real attention grabbers. Just look how large they are, with your choice of faction determining what sort of mech you get to play with in terms of firepower, controls and battleground maneuverability. There's also another really interesting aspect to this one, as it comes with a compelling and extensive campaign for players to get stuck into. Such games, if they offer one, well, they're normally rather thin, so its premise here of something that's meaty and substantial should give Iron Harvest that little bit more of an advantage over its competitors within the genre. Of course, for many though, the real draw will be the competitive multiplayer, with players having the option to play with multiple faction heroes, each with their own skill sets and abilities, so there's plenty opportunity for users to find a character that best suits their own preferred playstyle. You can play Iron Harvest today, as we already said, on PC via Steam, PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. At number 7, we have the first of a handful of racing games we're super excited to play over the next 6 to 9 months. Hotshot Racing, well, it just looks so much fun with its straight-up arcade looks and gameplay appeal. Now we totally get why so many people love the realism associated with the likes of Gran Turismo, although we here at Get Indie Gaming would rather play driving games that are just a little bit more tongue-in-cheek. Hotshot Racing comes with 16 tracks, single player, 4 split screen player and 8 player online modes. The single player is also said to be running at a crisp 60 frames per second, even on the Nintendo Switch. On the face of things, this looks ready to deliver one of the best arcade-style racing games we've played in years. Again, to labour the point, we love how this all looks. This trailer gameplay has brought us all out with face-wide smiles. So here's hoping the real-life gameplay does the same when it comes out on the PC, PlayStation 4, Switch and Xbox One this coming September the 10th. Moving onwards to this month's number 6. Against the Moon is one of those intriguing games that's kind of crept up on us, and it seems to have something that little bit different, with it offering a roguelike deck building experience with a few tweaks. What's different is the approach to the deck building, where each card is able to change and evolve along 2 different paths. In theory, this means you should be able to adapt and change your own strategy in line with what your opponent is up to. With this, it's also said to contain elements of deck builders such as Hand of Fate, Slay the Spire and Talisman. Against the Moon is claiming it has something for everybody, a mechanic that's easy to get into for those who like, well, let's call it casual play, with also enough depth and nuance to challenge those looking for a hardcore experience, all within an epic looking sci-fi environment. Comparisons, say with the likes of Slay the Spire, feel mighty brave, and we'll find out soon enough if it cuts the mustard when it launches for PC, we believe at some point this month via Steam and GOG. At number 5, Spinch is certainly a feast on the eyeballs, with its up front and centre psychedelic colourings and stylings, all coming from the award-winning cartoonist Jesse Jacobs. Spinch, well, it grabbed our attention not only in how it looks, but also with the asserted aims of it looking to bring retro-themed gameplay to the table, with an emphasis on old-school difficulty that, for we read at least, players are going to need a deft touch and a certain level of platforming skill with the dodging, dashing and jumping around the place to be successful with it. This ever so lively looking platformer comes on September 3rd onto PC via GOG, Humble and Steam, with it also coming to the Switch via the Nintendo eShop.
Truth waits for you in the shadows.
This island is full of sinners.
Pardise has been killed, and I'm looking for the murderer.
At number 4, Pardise Killer was one of the bigger surprises from us at last year's EGX show in London, with it being a free-form open-world first-person adventure game. The show floor demo and the help and advice we received while playing it, we think from one of the developers, has certainly stayed with us since then, and we're eagerly awaiting its launch on the 4th. In Pardise Killer, players are tasked with investigating a mass murder, and you're free to do this any way you please. Your investigation, how you piece things together, and the order in which you go about your tasks is totally up to you. This free-form nature really appeals, and does away with a sense of a completely scripted experience. Pardise Killer, from what we've seen and played of it so far, certainly has promise, and hopefully we're able to pen a review soon after launch. Pardise Killer comes to PC via Steam and the Switch. Up next, and at number 3, and only the 3rd time we've covered a game's prologue launch within our main Ones to Watch monthly countdown. While the full game's expected out in 2021, come September 30th, and with the release of Chinatown Detective Agency Day 1, players will be able to get hold of 3 substantial and neatly polished cases for what looks to be a highly promising point-and-click adventure puzzle detective game. We played the demo in around April earlier this year and covered this one's Kickstarter a while ago here on the channel. You play in the role of a private detective, or within some quite frankly stunningly beautiful pixel art, as you choose which leads to take in going about solving the various cases. Now, the demo was super fun, and at one point had players, unless they knew a particular quote from a long-dead ancient Greek historian off by heart, had you needing to go outside of the game and into Bing or Google to help move things forwards. So all of this looks pretty cool, and we're really hoping this follows up on the demo's premise with the prologue and, of course, when the game comes out at some point in 2021. At number 2, and coming out in early access September 9th, Cloud Gardens is just so very perfect for the here and now, with everything, well, you know, that's just going on. In a single phrase, well, this is super chill and it looks incredibly relaxing. It's all about growing plants within dioramas of urban decay, where you plant seeds and help nature take root in what the developer calls the creation of brutalism and beauty, salvaging and repurposing hundreds of discarded objects to create unique structures for nature to reclaim. They also go on to say the game is somewhat of an environmental experiment sort of project, somewhere on the line between a game and an interactive toy. It comes with a goal-free sandbox mode where you just go about making things grow or free form. There's also something that could be called a single-player campaign mode of sorts, where you grow the garden using plants to fill certain meters and such. While in early access the game will change based on player feedback, with new features expected such as mod support, a more advanced level editor, and ways in which players are easily able to share their dioramas. Cloud Gardens could be one of the little hidden gems of 2020. At number 1, and we suspect a surprise to nobody, the game we're most looking forward to playing all month, and perhaps all year, comes out on September the 15th. First on the PlayStation 4, with a Steam release coming in at what's said by the developer to be a time frame that's shortly after. So make of that what you will. Spelunky 2 is the sequel to the original game, first out in 2008 on PC, with further releases on numerous Sony platforms and of course the Xbox 360. First announced in 2017, it was expected out at some point last year, although as what happens with video game production, it's moved out into late 2020. In the original Spelunky, a game we placed in a recent overview of the best indie games of the past decade, had you exploring a vast collection of randomly generated underground caves, in what was and still is a terrifically difficult and yet hugely fun game to play. While the original had single player and local couch co-op, this follow-up is coming with an online multiplayer option, which will scratch that itch many people had to play with friends and remote randoms. We don't tend to play many online games with strangers, although it will be interesting to see what kind of player base this one picks up, not just at launch, but through its overall life cycle. The recent release date trailer that's on screen now gives yet more hints of what's to come, with it showing off plenty new gameplay and combat elements. We're fairly sure there's plenty secrets the developer has yet to show off, and we can't wait to find out while playing. We certainly look forward to sharing our review and first impressions of Spelunky 2 as soon as we're able. So with that, what indie games are you most looking forward to playing this September? Leave us a comment and let us know what you think. If you've liked this video, please gently caress that like button, and if you're not subscribed, now is the perfect time to do so, all the while enabling all of the notifications so you don't miss out on any of our videos. We upload at least every Wednesday and Saturday, and a subscription is the best way of staying fully up to date. Either way, many thanks for watching, a huge shout out to our Patreons, and we'll see you next time right here on Get Indie Gaming.